After sensing those presences, both Goku and his son were ready in their Shinigami clothes, but there was something they could not get out of their heads, and it was the fact that those hollows, unlike others, did not emanate that murderous intent or malice that characterizes them. I am not sure why I do not feel bad intentions, but I will find out, thought Goku. Father, I will go after the hollow that is farther away. You go after the stronger one, said Gohan. That is fine, son. Good luck, said Goku, igniting his ki aura and flying out toward the direction of the stronger ki, while his son went the opposite way. In Karakura City, in this great city, almost no one remained in the streets, because it was already getting dark, and the only creature in that desolate place was the figure of a large deer with a white mask that seemed confused and amazed by what it saw. So this is the world of humans. Even though I know there are Shinigami here, I cannot help but feel good about leaving Hueco Mundo and its desert, thought the hollow named Apoxie. She remembered how she had to escape to avoid being caught in the crossfire of the fight between her savior Tear Haribel and another hollow. For Apoxie, Haribel was like an older sister who was always willing to care for her, but now that she was not nearby she felt bad. I should return. She and the others must be worried, thought she as she prepared to open a garganta. However, she could not, because she felt a strong spiritual pressure approaching, so she had no time. When she looked back, she could see a boy of almost 12 years with spiky black hair. He had the same clothes as a Shinigami, accompanied by a large black sword on his back. Damn, a Shinigami. Now I will have to fight if I want to escape, thought she as she prepared for combat. Meanwhile, in the city cemetery, a garganta opened in the place, and from it came the hollow Haribel, accompanied by her other companions Mila, Rose the lioness, and Sung Sun the snake, all with the sole objective of finding their companion Apoxie and returning to Hueco Mundo. Is this the human world, Lady Haribel? Asked Mila Rose, observing the green grass and the trees. It must be this place. Besides, Gargantus can only bring you here, said the serious woman, concentrating to try to find the deer hollow. This place is very beautiful. If I were not a hollow, I would like to live here. Hueco Mundo is just a giant desert, said Sung. Certainly it would not be bad to get away from that place, but it is the only site where we are not hunted by Shinigami. It is impossible to live in this place while we are hollows, thought depressed Haribel, because the only thing she had in Hueco Mundo was her friendship with these hollows, but beyond that there was nothing good in that place. They all put aside their thoughts when they felt a powerful presence in front of them, to see a man with spiky black hair with a calm face and the clothing of a Shinigami. They found us. This guy, although he does not look like it, has great power. I must stop him until we find Apoxie. I will not like what I must do, but there is no alternative, thought Haribel, putting her arm sword in front of her. Mila Rose, Sung Sun, find Apoxie and return to Hueco Mundo. I will stay to face this guy, said Haribel with a firm and calm voice. No, Lady Haribel, we will not leave you alone. We are a team, protested Rose. Do not argue with me, and go. I do not know what he will do, but I do not want to put you in danger, said Haribel with a louder and firmer voice. She is not like the other hollows. She is worried about her companions and only seeks her friend. She has no intention of fighting, thought Goku, seeing the attitude of the blonde woman. The lioness and snake reluctantly headed to the forest to make sure they were not pursued, while they left Haribel and Goku alone. Listen well, Shinigami. I will not let you go after them. If you want them, you will have to go through me, said the girl, beginning to create yellow energy in her sword. But if Goku could not finish his sentence, because the hollow launched a powerful yellow arrow from her weapon. Ignore Toshiro. Goku without much trouble deflected the attack with his hands, which gave Haribel time to attack from behind. But Sun quickly drew his gigantic sword and blocked the attack. I think you will not listen to me until I defeat you, said Goku. There is nothing to talk about, and do not think you will defeat me. I am a Vosto Lord, the rarest and strongest hollows, said Haribel, trying to push him more with her weapon. So they are the strongest. This will be exciting, said the Sun, and with great force in his weapon he made the two separate to begin exchanging sword blows. I do not understand this Shinigami. He does not seem to have intention to kill me, but I cannot let my guard down because of that, or because of his childish and adorable appearance. Wait, what am I thinking? Thought Haribel, shaking her head because of that last thought. With Gohan and Apoxie, the deer hollow launched arrows from her horns at the small Saiyan, who only dodged them as if nothing, making the hollow furious. Calm down. If you do not want to fight, we can talk, and perhaps I can help you, said Gohan, trying to calm the deer. I do not believe you, Shinigami. As soon as I stop attacking, you will kill me. You are all the same, she responded, charging another arrow. It seems she is too scared to reason. The best thing will be to take her out of combat, thought Gohan, and with one of his hands he created a small key sphere that was fired toward the head of the hollow, who was quickly launched several meters across the ground by the power. Oops, I think I went overboard with that attack, said Gohan, scratching the back of his neck, just like his father. Suddenly, he jumped backward, dodging 2 bites from 2 hollows with the form of a snake and a lion. After failing their attack, they placed themselves in front of the deer. Girls, you are here, but where is Lady Harem? Asked Apexy. She asked us to look for you to return to Hueco Mundo, while she holds off a Shinigami she is fighting, said Sung's son. I will not go. I will help her even if I have to go through this brat, and you think the same, shouted an angry Apexy. Both hollows looked at each other, firmly understanding that their lady would be angry with them, but if they left, this boy would go after her, and if the other Shinigami was already a danger with 2, it would be worse. She will scold us, but we will not leave her alone, said Mila Rose, preparing a red sero. I agree, and this is the first time I agree with you, said the snake, also creating a sero, but this one was purple. You will not be able to handle the 3 of us, said Apaxi, charging another sero. Their concentrated attacks fused, giving as a result a giant sphere that they hoped would leave Gohan gravely wounded. But great was the surprise of the 3 when they noticed that their attack was going into the sky because the Saiyan deflected it with his hand. Impossible, shouted the 3 in unison, not believing that an attack like that could be deflected with such ease. Look, I will not harm you. You clearly are not like normal hollows. You worry about each other, so I do not want to fight against you, said Gohan with a smile. With Harem, the Vosto Lord had difficulties defeating the Saiyan because he dodged or deflected all her attacks with an ease that made her feel useless. Goku, for his part, was enjoying the fight, and he had no intention of killing her, because he saw that despite being a hollow she had good intentions for wanting to protect her own. This guy only stops my attacks, but makes no attempt to attack me, thought Harem, thinking he was mocking her. Are you not going to fight Shinigami? Asked the shark woman while clashing her sword with the sword of Goku. It is because I do not want to hurt you. You are not like the other hollows, said the Saiyan with a smile in his style. That is because I am a Vosto Lord, she responded, charging a sero in her sword to launch it, which succeeded, because it hit him full in the face. For some reason, after seeing that smile, she felt a strange warmth in her cheeks covered by the mask, and she also did not feel good attacking in that way. But why do I care about the condition of this Shinigami if we are natural enemies? I am confused, thought she while the smoke dissipated, showing Sun in perfect condition. While that was a good attack, I suppose to make you listen to reason, I will have to defeat you, said Goku, changing the position of his sword to fight. The 2 in the air exchanged sword blows, but Harem received light cuts, and she could not believe that despite being the strongest among the hollows, she could not defeat the Shinigami, who did not even have a captain or lieutenant title. At this rate I will not defeat him. I have to use all my power in the next attack, or else I will be lost, thought Harem, concentrating all her power in her sword for a final sero. She prepares for a final attack. Then I will not be left behind, thought Goku, putting away his weapon and placing his hands in the position of his favorite attack. Gran Rey Sero, Kamehameha, shouted both, launching their attacks. With Gohan minutes before. What did you just say, boy? Shouted a hysterical Apaxi, not believing what he said. As I told you, I will not harm you. I am only here to see what the source of the different hollow power was, and I found you, said Gohan calmly. So you did not come to kill me? Asked the deer, still with distrust. Of course, I only wanted to know who that energy belonged to. Besides, it is clear that you were lost, said the sun, surprising the hollows more. He is not like the other Shinigami. He sees in us something more than simple creatures hungry for souls, thought the 3, now having more confidence and leaving their combat stances. Boy, what is your name? Asked Mila Rose. I am Son Gohan, a substitute Shinigami, just like Dad, said the boy with a smile. Good. In that case I introduce myself. I am Apexy, and as you said before, I was lost, because I escaped from Hueco Mundo without thinking, said she, a little embarrassed by her carelessness. Do not worry, anyone can get lost, even my father, who is an adult, said the sun, laughing. Well, since she introduced herself, I must too. I am Mila Rose, and she is Sung's son, said the lioness. Nice to meet you. By the way, is there anything I can do to help you? Asked Gohan. We only want to know where Lady Harem is to return to that ugly desert, said Sung. If Hueco Mundo is so bad, why do you stay there? Would it not be better to come here? Asked Gohan. We thought about it, but not everyone is like you, and surely they would hunt us, said Apaxi. Well, you could live at the house of my father. I do not think he would have a problem if he knows you have good hearts, None of those present responded to such an offer from the boy for two reasons. The first was if they left they did not want to abandon Harem, and the second reason was, because before anyone could say something, two lights of yellow and blue color crashed in the sky until the blue consumed the other completely. What was that? Asked Apache alarmed. Probably if we go there we will find that Harem, said Gohan, guiding the hollows toward the place of the glow. In the attack zone, from the sky a white figure could be seen falling at enormous speed against the ground until crashing against a tombstone in the cemetery. When the curtain of dust dissipated, a Harem with non-lethal wounds and completely exhausted could be seen. Defeated. It cannot be. I used all my power and it was insufficient, thought the blonde hollow as she dragged herself across the ground until she could use her sword as a crutch to keep herself standing. While she tried to move, Goku descended from the sky and began to approach the Vasto Lord slowly. She for the first time in a long time had a face of fear for not being able to do anything against a Shinigami. I am sorry girls. I think we will not see each other again, she said to herself in a low voice, and closing her eyes awaiting her death which never arrived. When she opened her eyes she was surprised to see the Saiyan offering his hand to help her stand up completely. Do you need help? Asked the sun with his smile. Why do you help me if I am a hollow? Asked she doubtfully. Because unlike the others you do not have bad intentions, and all the time during the fight, you only worry about keeping me away from your friends so they could find your other companion. You have a good heart and desires to care for those who matter to you, and that is good, said Goku still with his smile. Harem still could not believe what she heard and saw. A Soul Reaper, natural enemies of the hollows, wanted to help her stand up. She understood why she was fighting, and also he had hardly hurt her. Her wounds were more than anything caused by exhaustion. So still insecure she accepted the hand of the Saiyan. What is your name, Shinigami? Asked Harem. Hello, I am Goku. Nice to meet you, said Goku with a smile, and offering his hand. I am Tear Harem, and as you said yes I was looking for someone I lost, said she accepting the hand of the sun. They must be important to you, said Goku seeing the determination of the woman. Yes, they are the only good thing about Hueco Mundo. They help me not feel alone, said she. And why do you not come here? Surely this place is better than that Hueco Mundo. We would be hunted. Even if I wanted to it is not possible, she responded somewhat depressed. Surely my friend Urahara can help you. He is a smart person and has a solution for everything, said he with a smile. For a second Harem saw a ray of hope in his words. She never saw someone offer her such a thing, but she had to think about it and consult it with her companions, who had just arrived at the battlefield reuniting all together. Are you all right, Lady Harem? Asked Mila Rose. Yes, I am. Just that I no longer have energy. As I see you already found Apache, it is time to return to Hueco Mundo, responded the blonde while one of her followers opened a garganta. Harem, if you ever want a rematch, or to live here look for the only spherical house in the city, said Goku saying goodbye to the Vasto Lord with a smile. Thank you for the offer. I will keep it in mind, said she while entering through the garganta. Her companions took a little longer to say goodbye to Gohan, but in the end they reached their cave. Son Goku, I do not know what this sensation is, but I have desires to see you again, and know you. I never thought that a Shinigami like you would offer me to leave this dark place, thought Harem without realizing that her cheeks turned red for a few seconds. Meanwhile in the shop of Urahara, all the people in the place were finishing training, and the girls were ready to leave, but they were confused when they saw Yoruchi and Rangaku staring at nothing. What is wrong with you? Asked Rukia. I am not sure, but I think someone wants to get closer to Goku just like me, responded the lieutenant. I also had that strange sensation. I wonder why, said Yoruchi. None of them knew that perhaps within a short time there would be another suitor for the affection of the Saiyan. What did you do? Shouted angry Rukia and Rangaku upon learning that the Saiyans let 4 hollows escape, and the worst is that they let a Vasto Lord go. After the sons returned to the shop they were saying goodbye to the young students, who were returning home, after a long day of training, and once that was done they told the Shinigami what happened, except for Yoruchi who went to follow the students so nothing would happen. On the other hand Urahara was only thoughtful, because behavior like that from the hollows could only mean that very possibly they could go through a process that he investigated decades ago. Could it be possible? Could it really happen naturally what I experimented with years ago? Thought the ex-captain again, remembering the wizards. Guys, you cannot do that. It goes against everything the Shinigami believe, said Rukia trying to make the sons understand their mistake. Why? Those hollows were only looking for their companion. At no moment did I feel hostility or desires to kill, said Goku with all the reason in his words. Yes, but that does not change the fact that there are creatures that must be exterminated to not cause more problems, said Rengoku insisting. With all respect, but I think that way of thinking is foolish, said Gohan, surprising the girls with what he said. Gohan, why do you say that? Did those hollows not try to kill you? Said Rukia. Yes, they tried, but from the beginning they never had the intention to fight. They only reacted by instinct before a Shinigami, said the younger son, beginning to make the Shinigami understand that they did that because those hollows did not deserve to die. But, tried to say Rukia until Goku continued, they did not choose to be hollows. None do, but from what I could see they did not let themselves be carried away by their animal instincts, and tried to recover something of their former humanity and overcome the loneliness they felt within Hueco Mundo, said Goku, now making the girls lower their heads in shame because they never thought they were condemning beings that possibly were not equal to what they hunted in their times. Without a doubt Goku is a person of good heart who is always willing to help even his enemies. Perhaps the Shinigami and noble families of the Soul Society should learn from him, thought Urahara, knowing that if the son said that in the Suriti Yamamoto would kill him for going against all the blind beliefs of that place. I never thought about that possibility. Could it be that all this time my beliefs were wrong? Thought the Shinigami, trying to comprehend what they said. Not all hollows are equal. They say that loneliness can affect anyone. It could be that emptiness in Hueco Mundo drove them mad, and that is why the majority are how they are, said the ex-captain, supporting the sons. Goku, you are never wrong about people. And Urahara, you are too smart for me to tell you that you are wrong. I really need to rest and think, said the lieutenant, sighing from tiredness because she did not know what to think, and needed to rest to figure it out. I agree. See you at the house, said Rukia, leaving with Rengoku and Gohan, leaving only the older Saiyan and Urahara. The two remained in silence for a while until everyone left, leaving them alone. Thank you, Urahara, for helping me, said the son. No problem. That is what friends are for, and I think you may be right about her. So if she comes by here I will see what I can do, said the ex-captain, having a theory of how to help that hollow. Thank you, Urahara. I knew I could count on your help. You are welcome, and before you go would you tell me what the Vosto Lord looks like? Asked Urahara. Sure. She has blonde hair, green eyes, and has many parts that look like a shark, said the son before leaving, and leaving the man in the hat thoughtful. With Gohan. Rukia, why are you in my bed? Asked the son, seeing the small Shinigami lying on one side. It is because last night I was cold, and I would like to be able to warm up, said she with a blush, thinking about wanting to be the first to take advantage over the Saiyan. Sure, I see no problem, said Gohan, entering the bed and being hugged by the girl. Once Goku entered his house he had a situation similar to that of his son, because the lieutenant wanted to sleep with him, something to which he agreed without problems. But what he did not count on was that the next day he found his two arms trapped by the breasts of sleeping Rengoku and Yoruichi. When she was discovered and scolded by the lieutenant, she only said that she was also cold and wanted a little warmth, which caused another comical discussion between them. A week later at the academy, the relationships of the Saiyan with the people of this world kept improving. The friends of Gohan who now trained with him shared more time at school, but what was striking for everyone was seeing that Tatsuki was less angry in the presence of the son. Meanwhile, with Goku, the lieutenant decided to start sleeping with him, and Yoruichi as a response moved into the house of the sons to the jealousy of the lieutenant. But in the last days of that week they were talking about how both felt the same for the same man, and that they should share him so that neither would suffer from being rejected. All that was left in a we will see, because they still thought it was too early to reveal their feelings. While everyone returned to the shop of Urahara, Gohan was being hugged by Rukia and Orihime, while Goku was thoughtful while he too was being hugged by Yoruichi and Rengoku. How strange. I thought I felt the key of Harabel in the shop of Urahara, but no longer. It must have been my imagination, thought the son without giving it importance. A week later in Hueco Mundo. Why can I not get that Shinigami out of my head? Since I fought with him I feel strange. It is as if I miss his presence, thought a confused Harabel lying on a rock while her companions only discussed stupidities as was usual. She after her fight was not the same. For some unknown reason thinking about the smiling face of the son made her heart beat fast, but she also felt humiliated by the fact of being defeated so easily. Her head was an emotional mess, and whenever she was in that state she remembered the offer of Goku about living in the human world, and what that Shinigami dressed in green told her the week before. Flashback of Harabel. A week before, the Vosto Lord, for reasons she herself did not know, went to the human world to find Goku. Although she had no idea what to do if she saw him, she put that thought aside and flew through the city until she found the spherical house that the son mentioned. But when she was about to knock on the door, someone spoke to her. "He is not home if you are looking for him, but I expected you to come," said a masculine voice. When she turned around, she came across a man who was Urahara with his serious face behind his fan. The Vosto Lord distrustful prepared her arm weapon, but the ex-captain calmed her. "Calm down. I do not seek a fight. I only want to talk about your situation," said the man in the hat. "And what would that situation be?" asked Harabel without lowering her sword. "You and your companions wish to leave Hueco Mundo to live here, but you cannot because of the Shinigami," responded Urahara. "Yes, I could say so. That is my situation. And although Goku said you were smart, I do not see the way to go unnoticed here," said she somewhat quietly. "The Vosto Lord. But there is a possibility, or at least it is a theory," said the ex-captain, who quickly after saying that had Harabel in front of him with the sword pointing at his throat. "How?" asked the Vosto Lord in a threatening manner, but that did not intimidate the man. "Well, as I told you, it is a theory. But I heard that centuries ago in the past there existed a variant of hollows with Shinigami powers. This species was called a rancor. And what does that have to do with me?" asked Harabel, very impatient. "These hollows had a more human appearance. Besides, their Shinigami powers allowed them to camouflage themselves," finished explaining Urahara. "You say that if I become a rancor I could come here. Then how do I become one?" said the blonde, calming down. "The problem is that I do not know how rancors were made, but according to an old companion of the Soul Society, a hollow can become a rancor by accepting their most human part. More than that I cannot tell you, miss. I will keep that in mind. Thank you anyway. I will return to Hueco Mundo, but do not tell Goku I was here. I am not yet ready to see him again," said Harabel with a blush. "If you want advice, when you are in a rancor, have a fight with him. That will help you understand yourself more, and what you feel," said Urahara, saying goodbye with a smile to Harabel, who opened a garganta and returned to her cave. End of flashback. Accept my humanity. How am I supposed to do that? Perhaps if I ask them I will have an indirect answer, thought Harabel, knowing that her companions were not that smart, but with just one word they said she would have an answer. She approached her companions, who looked at her expecting to receive orders from her. I need you to answer a somewhat foolish question, but if you make an effort, perhaps I will have the way to go to the human world without being detected," said the Vosto Lord, making her companions have different reactions. For her part, Apache was enthusiastic that if everything went well she could see that world and leave the desert, while Mila and Sung were insecure, but also enthusiastic. "What is the question, Lady Harabel?" asked Sung's son. "I want you to tell me everything in which we are different from humans." "Anything," said she seriously. Well, we have a hole in parts of our bodies," responded Mila Rose insecurely. "We feed on souls instead of food," said Sung's son. "Our masks. Humans lack them," said Apache. "Masks. The first thing obtained after the hole are our masks. Then comes the hunger for souls. I do not know why, but this may have to do with it. My mask covers my face that was human before," thought Harabel, very satisfied that her thinking worked. "If our masks make us hollows, then," began saying the Vosto Lord, while with her free hand she brought it to her face, and began to press against a part of her mask. "Lady Harabel, what are you doing?" asked the three hollows, shocked by the sudden action of their leader. "Perhaps, if I remove this mask I could." Harabel could not continue, because pieces of her face detached, and with it a powerful spiritual pressure was created in the cave, temporarily crushing the others. After that, and recovering from almost being crushed, they all looked to where Harabel was, and were too surprised when they saw how all the white armor fell, revealing her dark skin completely naked, and enormous breasts. The only thing that remained of her old mask were the sharp teeth, that looked like a mouth cover, but what caught the most attention was that beneath them was a Zanpakuto, leaving those present completely stunned. "Is that you, Lady Harabel?" asked a disconcerted Apache, who could not take her eyes off the new form of her leader. The mentioned one said nothing at all. She only concentrated on the sword she had beneath her. When she lifted it she drew it pointing downward, and as if she knew what to say she said, "Declare, Tiburon." By saying those words a great torrent of water appeared throughout the cave, and the hollows, to not know what would happen afterward, escaped until everything was calm. Once they felt that their leader's power stopped increasing they calmed down, and then were surprised to see Harabel emerge with a new appearance. Now she was no longer naked, but her aspect, besides intimidating, was provocative. All her clothing was white, beginning with long boots to her knees, a skirt that seemed made of bones. Over her torso small bones extended to her breasts, which were barely covered by white pieces of the same material, gloves, shoulder pads, and what seemed to be two tails like those of a shark on her back. Her sword disappeared and transformed into a larger version of her old arm sword. And finally all her mask disappeared, revealing a serious face, and on her cheeks 2 blue lightning bolt marks. It worked. Now I am in a rancor, said the Vosto Lord with a slight smile. What is that? And why are you so happy, Lady Harabelle? Asked a surprised Apaxi, still seeing the new form of her leader. I will only tell you that I will help you become one too, because this is our ticket out of this place forever, said she, approaching her companions, but she only had one idea in mind. So by facing him again I will know what I feel. That Shinigami was right about this, and surely he will also be right about that. I think it is time we see each other again, Son Goku, thought she with a smile, thinking about their reunion weekend at the house of Goku. It was a Sunday at the Sun House, so none of them, or their students, would train that day, so there was only enjoying the calm. Goku and his son were devouring the lunch prepared by the lieutenant and Rukia, while the mentioned ones ate their portion, as well as the new member of the house, Yuruchi. During those days the girls both of Goku and Gohan began to act more seductively, something that did not bother them. What is more, Rangaku and Rukia were happy because they would have a date with the Saiyans within a few days. Flashback 1. Rangaku. It is time, Rangaku. If you want to know if he can reciprocate your feelings, you must do it, she encouraged herself, while she approached Goku, who was exercising his students. Just 15 more laps, guys. Whoa. Hello, Rangaku. How can I help you? Asked Goku, without realizing that his students stopped doing what they were doing to see what Rangaku would do. Well, I was thinking, Anne, I would like to have a date with you, said the lieutenant, very red, awaiting the response of the son. Thanks, Urahara and Oraheim. If they had not explained dates to me, I would still confuse that with food. Just like marriage, thought the son, remembering the explanation from his student and his intelligent friend, who only wanted the best for the Saiyajin. Sure, it will be a pleasure to go out with you, said Goku, without realizing that he sounded like a total gentleman, which made the lieutenant more flushed and surprised all his students, because they never saw their sensei speak like that. Thank you for accepting. We will see each other next week for our date, said the lieutenant in a calm manner, but inside she was containing the urge to scream. End of flashback 1. Only 2 more days. I am glad that agreement with Yuruchi was reached. Now we will not have to fight so much, thought the lieutenant, remembering that with the cat woman they agreed to share him, so next week would be her date. Flashback 2. Days before. Since Yuruchi appeared for the first time in the lives of Goku and Rangaku, there were some changes. The first was that during dinners the purple-haired girl clung to the arm of the son, just to annoy the lieutenant, who got jealous, something the ex-captain found very comical. The second was that both during training breaks, or when Goku and his son were in the gravity chamber, the two began to form a good friendship, despite Rangaku finding the Catwoman annoying and a love rival. However, Yuruchi showed the lieutenant her way of life, which she found that being away from the Soul Society was extremely peaceful, which improved their friendship. With the passing of days, Yuruchi, upon hearing all the good things the lieutenant said about the son, wanted to verify it with the help of Urahara, creating false scenarios where bad things happened, like people in danger, verifying that the Saiyan was a person of great heart. Besides how handsome she thought he was, the more she talked with the Saiyan, the more attracted she felt, and when he defeated her and helped her, she could understand that she felt love for the first time in her life. However, when she told the lieutenant, she got angry, and they had a somewhat comical discussion that was turning more and more dangerous. I saw him first, so you cannot have him, said a jealous and annoyed Rangaku. And what about that? You can try with that fox face of Jin and leave me the first man I fell in love with, said Yuruchi, beginning to emit a little hostile spiritual pressure. No way. That guy, now that I realize, is a weirdo. I prefer a caring man who worries about me. And that is Goku, said the lieutenant, while also raising her spiritual pressure. So you want to fight for him? I am an ex-captain, and you only a lieutenant. I will crush you, said the Catwoman, releasing her Shunko. I trained with him enough to be on par with you. Do not underestimate me, said the orange-haired girl, releasing her Shike. Both were about to fight until a nervous Urahara was going to talk to them to avoid them hurting each other, and also avoid the destruction of his shop. Girls, I cannot help but hear your problems, and I think the best solution is that you share him so that neither comes out hurt, said the ex-captain, without knowing it was not a good idea to talk to an angry and jealous woman, especially if they had powers. You stay out of this, said both, launching a punch to the face between the two, breaking the ceiling and sending the poor Urahara to star in the house of a confused Chad. With their killer instincts reduced after the punch to the ex-captain, his words resonated in the heads of the two. Share him. While polygamy was something rare to see, in some places it was legal. Besides, it would not be frowned upon if the women were in agreement and the man was not an abusive pervert. Should we? Asked Yuruchi looking at the lieutenant. Yes, we should. He would not want either of us to be sad for not receiving his affection. Besides, we are already friends and I do not want to end this friendship, said Rangaku, willing to share him. Well, in that case let us do this. Each one will go out with him on alternating days to clarify our feelings when the appropriate moment comes, said Yuruchi, creating the basis of their agreement. Then, so be it, we will share him when the moment comes, but I think we should decide who will be the first to take the step, said Rangaku, already knowing how to resolve that, to which Yuruchi caught the gaze, and knew they were thinking the same. Let us resolve this as all Saiyajins would do it, said Yuruchi, closing her fist equally to decide as all of the race of Goku would do it. Rock, paper, scissors, said both, using the most common game to make decisions, having only one winner. End of flashback 2. My first date. I am nervous but excited, thought Rukia, remembering the embarrassing way she asked Gohan for a date. Flashback. Rukia. The small Shinigami wanted to get ahead of the others, so she was determined to ask the young son for a date, and she would do it directly, although she was dead with nerves inside. Just when she was going to see him, someone was cleaning the floor, so she slipped on the floor, but also stepped on a banana peel, beginning to slide all over the place until reaching Gohan, who, when he saw that she was about to fall, quickly grabbed her princess style, which left her flushed. Are you alright, Rukia? Asked Gohan. Would you have a date with me? Said Rukia, who covered her mouth, because she let herself be carried away by the moment. Sure, it will be fun, said the son with a smile, leaving the Shinigami happy, and all the girls extremely jealous. End of flashback. What should I do? I know nothing about dates. Perhaps I should talk to someone, thought Rukia, but both she and the others felt 4 powerful kiss at the door of the house. These kiss are very elevated, and for some reason I feel Shinigami and hollow power in them, said Rangaku, surprised. I think I know who it is, said Goku, going to the door. When he opened it, Goku saw 4 women with strange clothes, but of all of them he only recognized a blonde with a great body. Son Goku, I came for the rematch, said Harem in a serious and firm manner. Credits to the creator of that opening. If you read this, you have permission to keep publishing this story. The words of the Arranker left Goku surprised by how direct she was, but that did not change the fact that he was excited to fight her again, because now he felt that his powers had grown. Before the son could respond, the lieutenant went to see who they were, and was surprised to see Harem. Goku, who is she? Asked Rangaku with distrust and some jealousy. Well, she is the hollow I told you about weeks ago, said the son with a smile. What? Shouted the lieutenant from the impression. She expected any response except that, because she had never seen an Arranker. Truly they are hollows, but they seem more human, said Rukia, who joined the conversation, while looking at the companions of Harem. Behind the shark Arranker were 3 women with strange forms. The first was a girl with the body of a white snake. She had her arms covered by parts of a white kimono covering her mouth, eyes of pink color that expressed complete calm, red marks in the form of circles near both eyes, abundant green hair, and half a bone helmet on her head. All this accompanied by skin white as snow. The second person was another girl, who was completely covered in brown hair all over her body, only leaving her white face exposed, in which one could appreciate seeing 2 eyes of different color. One was blue and the other orange, covered by red marks. Her black hair looked a little like a bowl cut, and on her head one could see the antlers of a deer, accompanied by a third smaller horn on her forehead. And the last member was the one who, in the opinion of the Shinigami, also had very little clothing covering her. She was a girl with the appearance of a barbarian warrior. She had dark skin accompanied by a long chestnut mane, but above it was a helmet that showed another mane of hair, but this one was blonde. She had green eyes that, with her serious face, made her look like an authentic warrior. She possessed a hole in her stomach very characteristic of a hollow, and just like Harem, almost her white clothing of boots, gloves and pieces that covered her parts covered almost nothing, making her look extremely sexy. Before anyone could say anything, Gohan also came out to see what was happening, and upon recognizing the kiss he had in front of him, he greeted happily. Hello, Apache. Sung Sun and Mila Rose greeted the younger son with joy. Hello Gohan. It is good to see you again, said the always calm and cordial Sung Sun. Yes, Runt. It is nice to see you again, said Apache. But what are you doing here? Were you not in Hueco Mundo? Asked Gohan, expecting a response to which the Shinigami wanted to know what they would answer. Well, you see, after our leader discovered the way to be more human, we decided that we would take the offer of living here that you and your father proposed to us, responded Mila Rose, leaving the Shinigami surprised because the sons had not told them that part. Gohan, is that true? Asked a shocked Rukia, because she could not believe what she saw and heard. Well, yes, Rukia-chan. They do not have bad intentions, so I promised them they could live here whenever they wanted, said the son, scratching the back of his neck. Goku, you too? Asked the lieutenant. Sure, Rangaku. I see no reason why not. Besides, they said that Hueco Mundo was a very depressing place, said Goku with empathy, looking at Harem, who upon hearing that averted her gaze embarrassed, because he understood how bad she felt being in that place. Ooh, but they cannot live here. They are hollows, tried to say the lieutenant, but was interrupted by someone who included himself in the conversation. They are no longer lieutenant. Now they are air anchors, the closest to a human that a hollow can reach, and their power can be confused with Shinigami. So I see no reason why they cannot live here if they do not have bad intentions, said Urahara, who awaited his moment to make his contribution to the conversation. After that there was a great silence. The Shinigami could not believe what they heard. Never in their lives had they heard about Arankars, and much less that hollows could be more human, while Goku and his son did not understand what an Arankar was. Yes, we are. I accepted that human part inside me to later help my companions do it, and here we are. But before accepting your offer, son Goku, I desire a combat to see my new powers, said Harem in a calm manner, awaiting a response. Sure, Harem. I never say no to a fight, said the son, clashing his fists excited, which made the girl smile slightly. Wait, if you are going to fight, do it in my basement. A fight between an Arankar Vosto Lord and a Saiyan will not go unnoticed in the Soul Society. You still have to keep a low profile, said Urahara, to avoid problems with the Tsuride before time, but that left the girl confused, who did not know what a Saiyan was. Anywhere. I do not care if I can fight, but do not try anything strange, Shinigami, or you will see, said Harem, threatening the man in the hat, who had a chill from the murderous intent of the woman. She reminds me a lot of Yoruichi, when she gets angry, or when she gets territorial about the company of Goku, thought the ex-captain, sweating cold. Let us go, Harem. I will guide you, said the son, taking the normal hand of the shark girl, causing jealousy in Rangaku, and making the Arankar feel strange again. Now I not only feel strange, but this thing called heart is accelerating. I do not know what the sensation is, but I like it, thought Harem with a slight blush, while she continued being guided toward the training field. Minutes later, in the basement of Urahara, all the people from the ex-captain's shop, and those who were with the sons, were at a good distance within the training field to witness the fight between Harem, who still continued with the same clothes, while Goku took off the Shinigami suit to use his orange daji, but still kept his sword on his back. I love it when he uses that outfit, thought Rangaku, and Yoruichi flushed, looking at the marked muscles of the son. Why does he look so good without that Shinigami clothing? And why can I not stop looking at his body? Thought a confused Harem, experiencing the same blush as the Shinigami. Wow, I wish I had that same luck with girls, thought Urahara with mental tears, seeing the reaction of the three women. I am ready, said Goku, finishing his stretches, getting into a fighting pose. Son Goku, I want you to use your Shinigami powers. In our last encounter you did not use them, and I want you to show them to me, asked the Vosto Lord. Are you sure, Harem? I do not want to hurt you too much, warned the son, but the woman did not back down before his words. This is the release date of my sword, Tiburon. I want you to show me the release of your weapon, she kept insisting. That statement left the Shinigami impacted, because they never imagined that a hollow had a Zanpakuto, and much less that that appearance was a simple shike. Something was clear. None of them wanted to discover the strength of the Vosto Lord if she had another form that represented her Bankei. After understanding that the blonde would continue insisting with her request, Goku drew his sword, putting it in position. Very well, Harem. Release your self-walker sword, said Goku, activating his shike to transform his other sword. Now everyone present, except Rangaku, was surprised to see such an intimidating sword with that handle in the form of a demonic mouth opening. I never saw a sword like that. It is powerful and intimidating at the same time. But I wonder what it can do, said Rukia, still looking at the sword. I do not know, Rukia-chan, but surely we will discover it soon, said Gohan, expectant. I already know what the shike of your father does, but speaking of that, why do you have your shike activated all the time? Asked the lieutenant, because she noticed that the sword of Gohan did not return to its sealed form. I do not know either, Rangaku-san. After I met Zangetsu and released my shike, it has not returned to normal. But it does not bother me, said the younger son in a carefree manner. Certainly it is unusual. I will see the cause of that later. But for now we should witness what an Arankar is capable of, said Urahara. We also want to know how far we can go with these forms, said Apache, attentive to what her leader would do. Once Goku released his sword, he prepared for combat against Harem. Neither made any type of movement. They only waited for something to break that atmosphere. But in less than a second the Saiyan blocked a cut from the sword of the blonde who had approached him, using a Sunito, that was a hollow version of Flash. Step. In the middle of the clash Harem covered her sword with a water mace that quickly illuminated, and Goku had to put more pressure on his sword, because he felt that a cut from the Vasto Lord could damage him. So responding by channeling his power in the sword covering it with wind to afterward, make the blonde retreat enough to launch his cutting air attack which was quickly dodged with another Sunito. She withstood my trident attack. This is complicated. But why am I enjoying this? Thought Harem before using another of her attacks. Already away from the sun she concentrated another water mace on the tip of her sword, that shot out against Goku, who only cut with ease each water bullet, that was directed at his person. Harem launched a barrage of that same attack, until she seemed to see an opening in the defense of her opponent. So using her Sunito she prepared to use her trident again were it not, because her attack collided with the sword of Goku, and he took advantage, to give her a punch in the stomach taking the air out of her, and sending her flying. I will not give up, and that despite not knowing why, thought the blonde not knowing why she kept fighting. One part of her did it to test her ranker powers, while another wanted to demonstrate to the Saiyan that she was also strong. Quickly in the air she recovered her breath, and rose up until reaching the ceiling of the great basement preparing her next move channeling an immense amount of water in a sphere over her head, while the sun looked at her curiously. That technique by its form reminds me of the Jinkidama, only that hers is just water, thought the sun while concentrating more energy to launch another cut. Cascade, said calmly the blonde launching the water sphere over the sun who quickly launched a cut against that attack passing through a fissure in the attack which surprised Harem who quickly covered herself with her sword containing part of the attack but ended up going to the ground by the force of the attack. Just one blow. That is all I need to prove I am stronger, thought Harem coming up with a plan looking at the water that was scattered all over the battlefield. The sun watched curiously as the Aranker put her sword in the water that began to evaporate, and began to repeat the process, with all the puddles around her until creating a dense curtain of mist. Goku still felt her presence, but what he did not notice, was that again Harem shot multiple water wave bullets at him. The only difference is that she did it while moving. The Vasto Lord approached more, and more to the sun until she shot him for the last time in the back to quickly use her Sunito, and catch the black-haired man, with his guard down for having stopped. Shot. Quickly she used trident on her sword to then launch a cut that finally hit the mark. I did it. I gave him a cut. But why do I now feel bad, and worry about how he is? Damn. I do not know what I have or what I feel, thought the blonde who looked at the cut she gave the sun. There was some blood but she was surprised it was not that deep, and that her attack could have mutilated her opponent. Wow Harem, you sure became strong. You managed to make me lower my guard for a second to give me this cut, said the sun smiling at her, without worrying about the little blood that came out. Are you all right? Asked the blonde worried. Yes, I told you. I am fine. Luckily I activated my key barrier in time, otherwise it would have been worse, responded Goku carefree which relieved Harem. Everyone was surprised to see Goku with a cut on his chest when the mist dissipated. Gohan only thought that his father got overconfident as always. Rukia did not believe it was possible to wound the older son. Urahara was only surprised. The companions of Harem cheered their leader for that achievement, while Rengoku and Yoruichi brought their hands to their mouths from the impression of seeing their future boyfriend wounded causing anger and desire to want to hit the Vasto Lord. While this happened Harem only took distance, and Goku stayed in his position, before beginning to speak. And what am I supposed to do when this fight ends? Asked Harem. I do not know. But if you still want to leave Hueco Mundo you and your friends are invited to my home, said Goku with a smile that left the hollow somewhat flushed. Before I would have told you no, but now I am different. I could see, feel, and do things that other hollows cannot. In that desert there is nothing but death, sadness and loneliness. My companions, and I will move away from all that, said Harem in an inspiring manner. So you will stay? Asked the sun somewhat excited to have another training partner. Yes, we will stay with you. But I want to know this world. I want to strengthen myself to protect my companions and know you better, said the blonde, although the last part she said in a low voice. Great, then how about we finish this the same way we met to show you the house, said Goku putting away his sword and preparing his favorite attack. So be it. This defeat is only the beginning of this new life, said the blonde preparing her final attack. And as if it were déjà vu everything happened the same as that night, she met this friendly man who offered his hand, when others would have killed her. Gran Rey Saro. Kamehameha! Shouted both, and while the attack of Harem was completely consumed by the attack of Goku, she could only think one thing while being defeated. Son Goku, I do not know what awaits me in the future from now on, but I am sure I want to discover it by your side, thought with a smile while receiving the impact of the attack being defeated. The attack of Goku sent the Vasto Lord flying until she crashed against rocks, leaving her out of combat and without energy. The companions of the blonde were alarmed, thinking that their leader was gravely wounded, but Gohan calmed them, saying that that attack did not have the force to kill her or cause severe damage. Are you alright, Harem? Asked Goku, going to the impact zone so that everyone would be surprised. I am fine, Goku, said the blonde, who could not get up, but what called everyone's attention was that she was completely naked, because upon using all her power in the Re-Zero she lost her resurrection form. Sure, you seem exhausted. Do you want me to help you move? Asked kindly the son with his smile. That is fine. Thank you for helping. I do not think I can walk until I rest, said the blonde, waiting to see what Goku would do. The mentioned one took her from the ground and carried her in a bridal manner, which surprised her a lot and left the other girls jealous. Harem just let herself be carried, clinging to the neck of the son, while again, she felt her heart accelerate a lot for having him so close. Once they arrived with the others, Goku left her on the ground so her companions could see her, while the sons asked Rukia and Rangaku to use the little Keto they knew to heal her, something to which they refused until they used puppy eyes, so without being able to resist they did it, although they still did not trust the Arankar. Goku, stop looking at her. Have respect, said a jealous Yaruchi, who thought the Saiyan was only looking at the beautiful naked body of the Arankar. Why, I only want to see how they heal her, said Goku with his face of not understanding. Only that, you are not looking at her because she is naked, said a perplexed Rangaku. And what is that about naked? From what I understand, humans cover themselves all the time with clothes, said Harem, who did not know about human customs for being a hollow for so long. Well, you see, that suit you wore was clothing that covers you to be in society. But now that I think about it, why do you no longer have it? Said Yaruchi. That suit was part of my released form. But when I transformed into an Arankar, I had nothing of that clothing. In fact, the girls also went through the same thing, explained the Vasto Lord. Then, if her power runs out, she will also began saying Rukia before a shout sounded. Urahara, go and find clothes for the four of them right now, shouted Yaruchi, who did not trust that her friend could contain the desire to see them without clothes. It is fine. I will be right back, said the ex-captain, a little scared as he left. While the healing of the blonde continued, Urahara arrived with some white kimonos, but he only had 3. Before that situation, Harem gave her companions those clothes, saying that she had no problem remaining naked, but both her friends and the other girls refused that until someone arrived with the solution. Harem, take this, said Goku, offering the blonde the black kimono that he threw on the floor to be able to fight with his Daji. This act of the Saiyan caused more jealousy between Rangaku and Yaruchi, while the Vasto Lord only blushed. Thank you, Goku, said the blonde, getting up to put on the kimono that was big on her, but still fulfilled the function of covering her until they found something for her. Well, with everything settled, how about I show you and your friends your new home, said Goku with a smile. Sure, that sounds good for us. Forward, girls, said Harem, going with the sons, who left all the Shinigami in the basement. Wow, Yaruchi, it seems you have more competition, said in a fun manner the ex-captain, while his friend and the lieutenant launched a murderous gaze at him, making him tremble. Well, Lieutenant, I think someone else came to stay. I have no problem with them staying, as long as those 3 do not try to attack us or do something strange with Gohan, thought Rukia, imagining how life would be from now on with the sons. Meanwhile, with the sons, Goku finally had to use the house expansion that Bulma gave him, because now in his house lived a total of 9 people, and without him knowing it there would be more in the future. All the Arankar, without expression, were surprised by the things inside the house, because they never saw any of that in Hueco Mundo. The companions of Harem took rooms near the room of Gohan, because if something happened, or they wanted to know something, they would consult with him, for having more confidence than in his father. Something similar happened with the Vasto Lord, who installed herself in a room near the room of Goku. Good girls, those are your rooms. When you feel comfortable tomorrow we will show you the city, said Goku with a smile. Thank you, Goku. I do not think I can pay you for giving us the opportunity to live in this place. If you need anything at all, just ask me, said an unusually happy Harem, which seemed strange to her companions, who never saw that side of her. He, thank you for the offer. I will keep it in mind. But now it would be good if you rest, so that afterward we can explain how things work, said Goku, scratching the back of his neck, which made the blonde blush. Alright, then we will see each other later, said the Vosto Lord, lying in the bed, which she liked because she never felt that comfort in her life. If it were not for the terrible tiredness I would swear I am dreaming. But it is not so. This is very real, and I cannot help but feel happy, although I still have much to learn about this world. But who knows? Perhaps by learning I can understand what I feel when I am near Goku, thought Harem with a smile before closing her eyes. While this happened, her companions thought the same, but at the same time they did different things. Mila Rose and Apache were having a chat about how the clothes they brought needed to be modified so they would feel comfortable, while the calm Sung Sun did not waste her time on things like appearance, and began to read a book that Gohan gave her where human behavior and their reactions were explained. Love, an emotion of attraction between two people that can occur both for physical aspects or personality, that leads these to want to share their lives. Interesting. Could the behavior of Lady Harem be because she is falling in love with Mr. Goku? Thought the snake girl, who kept reading that book, while not paying attention as her companions destroyed part of their clothes to modify them. The next day, Goku with all the people who lived in his house headed to the academy. The sons and the Shinigami wore the clothes they used at school, while the Arankars who insisted on going to see a bit of the human world brought different clothes from the other day. Apache did not do much with her clothes. She only removed the sleeves, leaving her thin arms exposed, and like her companions, she wore her sword on a belt. Sung Sun had nothing new. She only lengthened the sleeves of her suit, although she did not want to, but in the end she did it so that, according to her words, they would stop bothering her. Mila Rose modified her suit to such a point that she looked like an Amazon warrior. She wore a skirt that almost reached her knees. Her large breasts were covered by a white bra, and finally she wore white bracelets on her arms. Finally, her leader Harem, who upon receiving a kimono that Urahara got for her did not like how it looked, so she also modified it. Now she wore a long skirt and a jacket that did not cover her belly, and unlike her companions, she carried her weapon on her back. How much longer? Asked Harem behind her mask in the form of teeth. It is there, and please do not do anything strange, said Rangaku, who still did not trust the Arankars. Do not worry, old lady. We will behave well, said Apache without realizing she had offended the lieutenant, who with a vein of annoyance on her head, gave her a blow on the head, sending her to the floor with a comical bump. Apache, that is not said. People do not like to be reminded of their age, said Sung Sun, remembering the book she read. But she used the words wrong, so she also ended up on the floor, making Harem angry. Calm down, Harem. She only punishes them for offending her, but she has no intention to fight, said Goku, calming the Vosto Lord. I trust your words, Goku, said the blonde, giving a signal to Mila Rose to carry the unconscious Arankars, who had spirals in their eyes. They still have much to learn, thought Rukia and Gohan. Already at the academy, everyone divided into different groups. The friends of the blonde would be all day with Gohan, who had to introduce the Arankars to his friends who could see them, and Harem stayed at the side of Goku all the time. By doing that, she discovered that the Saiyan was not from this world, understanding that their powers and his were on different scales. With Gohan, the situation in which the son found himself was quite curious, because there were different reactions among his friends and the Arankars. Tatsuki and Apache seemed to have gotten caught in the mirror game, because both shared a physical similarity, except in the eyes and the shape of the hair. Chad and Sung Sun seemed to have a kind of silent conversation, because neither directed any words to each other, while the rest only conversed. Author note: at these moments they are on the roof, where nobody realizes they are talking to nothing. This human girl seems very fragile. Perhaps you should train her, Gohan, so she is no longer a skinny girl, said Mila Rose, analyzing Orihime, who was still surprised to see a woman as tall as her, and more, because of the hole in her chest. In reality, Gohan does train her, but she is not a fighter but rather more of a healer, said Rukia. Girl, you will not always depend on others. If you do not become strong, you will always depend on others, and you will never be able to defend yourself, said the Arankar, giving advice to the orange-haired girl. After this introduction, Rukia and Gohan explained that they were hollows who became more human, which scared the girls, thinking they still had the murderous intent of hollows, while Chad only remained serious. I understand that you distrust them. I do too, but they are under surveillance, and do not seem to want to do anything bad, said Rukia to calm the atmosphere. I think they are right. Their kiss are not malignant like the ones I felt before, said Chad, who in the last days learned a little of the concept of that energy from Goku, although he still did not dominate his spiritual power well. I hope so, or we will have problems here, said Tatsuki, who upon pointing with one of her arms, showed a white light in the form of marks on her arm. Author note: since I will give protagonism to Tatsuki, I gave her an ability that will be seen in the following chapters. If you want a clue, that ability is inspired by one of the weapons of the Devil May Cry saga. With Goku and Harem, the blonde only paid attention to how Goku made his students sweat with so much exercise, and the reaction of tiredness of those young people seemed funny to her. But what caught her interest was that in the distance she saw a young couple holding hands, which she did not understand, and before asking she is interrupted by Rangaku, who hugged the Saiyan from behind, while whispering in his ear to not forget their date tomorrow. This scene for some reason annoyed the Vosto Lord. Why do I suddenly feel desire to crush that Shinigami? Thought Harem while trying not to take her sword. Goku, are we training today? Asked the lieutenant. Perhaps later. We promised Harem and the others that we would show them the city. Urahara said we should stop by his shop, because he would have ready those things called jigaes for them, said Goku, who did not know what that was. In that case I am going too. It has been a long time since I took a walk through the city, said Rangaku, although her intentions were to stay close to the Saiyan in case Harem tried something, or a certain perverted cat got ahead of her. Later, and in the center of the city. In the city a large group of people moved, admiring the place, but of all of them 4 girls were the most impressed. These were the Arankars, who with their jigaes could interact with the environment. The companions of Harem wore the academy uniforms, while the blonde wore black shoes, blue jeans, a scarlet shirt along with a sleeveless black jacket. Author note: again I emphasize that I am not the best at clothing designs. This place is amazing. I would never have seen things like these in Hueco Mundo, and all thanks to that weird guy. And Goku thought a happy Harem, touching her mouth, that she still had to get used to her new body that did not have that mask, although on the way to the shop she learned that she had control over it. So in her Arankar form she created a bra with pieces of her mask. The Arankars spent a day they never thought possible. They went to fun places where they listened to music and laughed at nonsense that a human said. They tried what food was, and above all they managed to have a better relationship with the people who knew their situation as ex-hollows. Rangaku and Yoruichi, despite thinking that the blonde could be a rival, got along well with her because of her calm attitude. But they were annoyed when she grabbed the arm of Goku under the excuse that humans do that. Meanwhile, with the friends of Gohan, they managed to understand the hard life of the Arankars, so they did not blame them for anything that happened to them. But of all, Rukia was the one who had a better friendship, although she did not trust her at first. What is more, she told them that friends help each other and do favors, so she asked the Arankars to do her a favor tomorrow, and they accepted. But Sung Sun told her that according to the human guide she would have to return the favor afterwards, so the small Shinigami had no problem accepting those terms. The next day, date of the Saiyans. On this day no student went to school because they were doing annual maintenance, so that day was taken advantage of by the girls to go out with their respective Saiyan. The lieutenant was in a park next to a fountain waiting for Goku. The mentioned one wore a white skirt to her knees, a yellow shirt covered by a pink sleeveless vest, and a purse where she kept many things like mints, makeup, and a candy dispenser that in reality contained soul candy that is used so that the jjigae of a Shinigami does not fall on the ground. "Hello Rangaku. I am here," said the cheerful voice of Goku. When she turned, the lieutenant blushed a lot, even though the Saiyan wore nothing new. The sun simply came using his typical orange doji, with the difference that he did not bring the top part, so he only wore a blue shirt, leaving his worked arms visible. Author note: the clothing he used with Piccolo and Gohan during his training for the arrival of the androids. I hope I remember everything they told me that day, Orihime-chan and Urahara-san, thought Goku, remembering when the mentioned one spoke to him about what a date is. Flashback weeks before. And remember, you must take a girl to places she likes, and where she feels comfortable, said Urahara, advising his Saiyan friend. Also do not forget to tell her nice things, said a smiling Orihime. Thanks, but why are you telling me this? Asked a confused Goku. Friends always look out for each other, and that is why I am advising you, for when the moment comes. Do not ruin it when going out with a girl, said Urahara. Besides, I want you and Rangaku-sensei to go out sometime. You both look very cute together, said a cheerful Orihime, remembering when she saw the 2 adults walking during recess. Well, thanks, I will keep it in mind, said Goku, scratching the back of his neck. End of flashback. Wow Goku, you look incredible, said Rangaku, still flushed. Thanks, you also look pretty, said the son, searching for the correct words in his limited knowledge of these things. Thank you very much for the compliment. Now where are we going? asked the lieutenant enthusiastic. To wherever you want, Rangaku-chan, said Goku while he was taken by the arm to lead the lieutenant to a clothing store, while they were followed by a purple-haired girl and a blonde who had unfriendly faces. With Rukia, the small Shinigami was in the center of the city, wearing a simple white dress that made her look adorable, while a very nervous Gohan, who wore the same clothes as Piccolo, followed her closely. For both young people this was a very new experience, because their lack of knowledge about dates made them be very nervous, but excited. But if something Rukia could be calm is that nobody would interrupt them, because she convinced the Arrancar's apoxy, Mila Rose and Sung Sun to insist on going out with Oraheim, and Tatsuki, to know the whole city. At least they will not bother while I have a date. But I wonder if when it ends it will finish like that dream, thought Rukia, flushed, remembering that after asking for that date she had dreams where Gohan, as a prince, rescued her, and before kissing him the dream ended. The date of both young people continued normally, going to all kinds of stores, restaurants in which they had to leave because Gohan massacred the pantries, and the place where they had the best time, an amusement park where the sun got her a Chappie the rabbit plushie, which made the Shinigami very happy. Already a while later after that, both young people were on some stairs in the city eating some ice creams. At one point Rukia got a little dirty on her mouth, and Gohan wanted to clean it, but without realizing by being so close to each other, they entered a kind of trance where their hearts beat with force and their lips approached more and more. They were about to kiss for the first time until grew. It was the roar of a hollow that passed by there, ruining the moment, which annoyed Rukia, who wanted to leave her jjigae to cut that hollow until tiredness, but spiritual energy arrows ruined her plans. So, you were the one following us, said a serious Gohan. I see you noticed my spiritual pressure, Shinigami, said the mysterious person. This is impossible. That arrow attack can only be done, said Rukia before being interrupted. The Quincy. Yes, and that is because I am one, the last of mine, said the young man, to be illuminated by it, revealing who he was.